What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for tuning in to Late Hoops. Today's video, we're going to be discussing this season's NBA title contenders. Obviously, this is a pretty subjective topic, so if I missed anyone or you think someone should not be on this list, please be sure to let me know in the comments below. We're going to be breaking this up into three categories. Number one, contender locks. Number two, teams that I think could make a championship run if everyone's healthy. And number three, my controversial contenders, the teams that I'm just not ready to write off yet. Without further ado, let's get started about the championship locks. So for me and probably 99% of you guys watching this video, I got my first contender lock as the Boston Celtics. The Celtics have started this season on a tear, boasting the best record in the NBA with a record of 22-7, and they are just one of three teams with a winning record at home and on the road. Their star duo of Jason and Jalen have pretty much solidified themselves as the NBA's best duo. I actually made a whole video on that if you guys haven't seen it, want to check it out. But outside of that, their surrounding cast has been balling out. Their new addition, Malcolm Brogdon, is averaging an efficient 14, 4, and 4 off the bench. And someone who I'm not the biggest fan of offensively, I've said this a couple times on the channel, Marcus Smart, has actually shocked me, taking a huge leap on the offensive side of the ball, knocking down the threes when he's given to him, but especially in that playmaking category, as he's averaging a team-leading 7.2 assists a night. The other surrounding pieces like Derek White, Grant Williams, and even Blake Griffin and Luke Cornett have supplied some solid front court play while Robert Williams isn't playing. To me, this team's true X factor comes playoff time is going to be Robert Williams. They need an elite level shot blocker to put in the middle of the wall for when they're versing someone like Giannis, who they're probably inevitably going to see in the Eastern Conference Finals, or even if they see, a Joel or a Bam Adebayo or a Kevin Durant, they just need Robert Williams to be playing, because if not, it could get scary. Joe Mazzulla has done a terrific job with this team as his first time being the head coach. Obviously, he's an interim head coach. I don't know if we'll have this job next year, but I'm really stoked to see what comes next for him and this Boston Celtics team. My second final contender lock is the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis has been playing at an MVP level this entire season and shows no sign of slowing down. Since the return of Chris Middleton, you can really see the Bucks hitting their stride as they boast an impressive, not too far from the Celtics, the second best record in the NBA. They are 20-7 on the year, and they are also one of those three teams in the NBA with a winning record both at home and on the road. A lot of teams this year have been struggling on the road, so it just makes it really impressive when you're able to go on someone else's home court and just beat them by a sizable margin like the Bucks do. This Bucks roster has proven time and time again that they can compete and win an NBA championship, so there's not much to say. I won't spend too much time on this other than the fact that I have to give my quick flowers to two people. The first one is Brook Lopez for being an absolute stud on the defensive side of the ball. He's making a great case for the Defensive Player of the Year award, and he's been really good offensively too. He shows flashes of those Nets days where he just backs people down and gets to the basket at will, or he's hitting fadeaway one-legged Dirk fadeaways, and it's just awesome to see. But the other person I have to give my flowers to is Bobby Portis. He is currently tied at the third place for most double-doubles produced this season, and it's insanely impressive that he's here, tied with Giannis, his teammate, especially when you consider the fact that Bobby Portis is coming off the bench. This man, he's becoming a fan favorite with the quickness in Milwaukee. He's actually averaging a double-double on the season. This Bucks team, I'm really stoked to see them compete. I love watching Giannis in the playoffs, and I love watching the defensive schemes that opposing coaches just try to throw at him to stop the Greek freak. Now we're going to move on to those teams that I think can make a run and possibly even win a championship. First, we have the Brooklyn Nets. It may go without saying that a team with Kyrie and Kevin Durant could compete if they're healthy, but I don't really see that many people talking about this team other than when they were having a slow start. Like I said, they did have a slow start to the season, but in their last 10 games, they're 8-2, and they sit one game behind the Cavs as the 4 seed in the East. And the Cavs, I'm sure you guys know, they've been slipping. They had a rough loss to the Spurs the other night. They did beat the Mavs pretty bad last night, but that's besides the point. Kyrie and Kevin have looked amazing to start this year, but the pieces around them, they've all taken a leap as well. Ben Simmons, he's looking way more comfortable every night on both sides of the ball. Royce O'Neal has looked like an amazing addition to this team, displaying the reason reason they got him in the first place, that 3-and-D play style. Seth Curry has continued to be a sniper alongside of Yuta, and the only issue I have with this team is that their front court presence, it sometimes is a little bit lacking. Yes, I am a big fan of Ben Simmons' defensive ability, and I feel like it's only going to get better as he gets more comfortable, because a lot of people seem to forget he finished second in Defensive Player of the Year voting the year before his injury. But Claxton seems to be really hit or miss most nights. He's obviously a great lob threat. He's very efficient. For a little bit, he was leading the league in blocks, but he just doesn't play that big body defense like you would want your center to. It would be interesting if they tried to trade for someone like Jakob Poeltl on the Spurs. I know that there's been a lot of teams trying to get that man, because let's be honest, he's a baller. He is undergoing injury right now, so I hope he gets well soon. But I suppose only time will tell for him and this Brooklyn Nets team. A team that has no issues at that center position, though, is my second possible contender, and that's the Philadelphia 76ers. Initially, I wasn't going to put the 76ers here, but it seems like about a year or so after the Harden trade, they're just starting to figure it out. Embiid, he's been playing at an MVP level all season, and they've had a lot of great wins. Some bad losses, but a lot of great wins this season. And Tyrese Maxey hasn't even played a game since November 18th when he broke his foot. Harden looks to be more dominant than ever if we're comparing, to his last two seasons. Obviously, this is nothing like 35 points per game Harden we used to see in Houston. Yes, his handles, they are still a little slow, but what I love to see is that he's averaging a league-leading 11 assists a night. He just passed Tyrese Halliburton the other day, while also putting up a solid 22 points a game. He's really letting Embiid just go out there and dominate every single game. This team has a great supporting cast outside of Embiid and Harden. Obviously, Tyrese Maxey, who has not been playing, but it doesn't stop there with Tobias Harris, PJ Tucker, Shake Milton, George Niang, and even Matisse Thybulle, who's gotten his minutes cut because he's not very productive on offense, but he still is one of the best defenders in the NBA. It's going to be really interesting to see what this squad does come playoff time. My only gripe is that Doc Rivers is still the head coach on this team for some reason. I suppose we will see what he has to offer come playoff time, but if they take an early exit this year, I'd assume Doc's job takes an early exit as well. Now, onto the last two contenders, the controversial contenders. One of these is way less controversial than the other, so we'll get that out of the way. That's the Los Angeles Clippers. If you guys have been rocking with me for a while, since the beginning of this channel, the first video I ever made was me talking about how I'm really high on the Clippers. It doesn't matter to me if they finish the 1 seed or the 8 seed, or even if they're the play-in and they have to battle their way into the 8 or 7 seed. If Kawhi and Paul George are playing, I think this team's a contender, period. A lot of people are quitting on Kawhi, but not me. I know this dude is generational, and come playoff time, his game is literally perfect for that style of basketball. If you don't know what I'm talking about getting those buckets and the 15 to 18 feet mid-range game and playing tremendous defense. You can stick Kawhi on anyone's best ball handler. Like, if they matched up with the Celtics in the finals, it would be so fun to watch Kawhi and Tatum go at it. They've also retooled this lineup and have a tremendous amount of depth and support with the new and current pieces that they've had or just acquired, like John Wall, Terrence Mann, Marcus Morris, Norman Powell, Robert Covington, Reggie Jackson, Luke Kennard, Nicholas Batum, Ivica Zubac. This squad from top to bottom should scare anyone on paper, at least. I suppose with Kawhi's load management, it's very easy for people to forget how good this team really is on paper. Not to mention they have a top 5 to 10 coach, depending on who you ask, in Tyronn Lue. I'm really stoked to see this team compete in the playoffs this year, just as I am to see the final team on this list, the most controversial pick, the Phoenix Suns. Now, I know a lot of you are probably like, what the hell? No, the Suns are done. This is done. Phoenix, they should just wrap it up, send it home, rebuild, trade everything. But I don't know. Call me crazy. I just think they got one more little kick, one more little run in them. Even if you say Chris is washed or Booker's Luka's son or DeAndre Ayton can't do this or that, I can't not see them making one more valiant effort. They've won 60 games the last 2 years, and this season they've started out pretty bad. I think they've lost 5 of their last 5, but they've dealt with so many injuries to start this season, and it's really easy for people people to look at that slow start and they just instantly can write them off. But in my eyes, if they can trade Jay Crowder for some more wing depth and then get CP3, Devin Booker, and Cam Johnson back to 100% healthy under head coach Monty Williams, I feel like they could shock a lot of people. I'm not saying they can win the championship. I mean, they could, but this roster for sure has the talent to make a playoff run if everyone's healthy, along with the amazing coaching and Monty Williams. But what do you guys think? Am I overstepping with some of these takes, or are they just right? Let me know in the comments below. If you guys made it this far, you know I appreciate your support as always. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Let's keep this upload streak going. If you made it this far, leave a nice smile in the comments. Peace.